Jeshi, I think it's now.
Yeah, it's live. I see on the stream it is live. I just try to go to
Hmm.
yeah, it's live. That's okay. Yeah. So we are live.
Realize. Okay, so now I have to make it live on here also. Where's the Jeshi, you have to do a little bit for Instagram. I think that it has been changed. So I am giving you the credentials now again.
Insta, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to add Insta chat.
Key. So I'm putting in chat the key for Insta. Just add this one there. And then we should be able to go there also. Just now in the chat. The moment you give me, I just put the go live thing there. Then
Yeah, it should go.
you did it?
Yeah. Yeah, send it there. So it's
Wait,
streaming on LinkedIn, it's streaming on YouTube.
but it's not streaming
No,
on
no, it's
this.
still doing. It's still doing on Insta. It says streaming. Yeah, it should be live on.
It's still okay. I don't know whether it's the same thing because it keeps changing. It's Is it connected?
Yeah, it's streaming on all three right now. So we should just wait
No,
for
but
few
it has
minutes.
not gone go live. It hasn't gone live here. Just check once
You
again
have to go
on
live
Insta. It's
on. You have to go live on Zoom.
okay,
Are you
okay. Wait,
live?
just check this one. No, no. So I will go. Just quickly add this link which I have given you now. Then only it will go live. Do it.
I did that. No.
No, it has changed the thing.
Okay.
Just try
All right.
once.
Okay. You have given it again.
Chat. You're putting stream URL or stream key?
Let me see.
I have given you stream key. Is it key or URL you are putting?
Wait. You are giving me stream key. That's what I.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right. Now it's live.
Yeah, we should. I think we should start. How do we see all of them?
Okay, give me a sec. Yes. Jashi, it's live on LinkedIn now. You checked them?
Yeah, we should get started. I think it's already live, so we should get started.
Okay. Sure. Okay.
And I think we should just start the recording also. We'll get
Will it get or we should start recording?
just start the recording.
Okay. Great. So let's start. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our live today. We are going to talk about insomnia, and this live is all about understanding insomnia. India is being considered as the second most sleep deprived nation after Japan. In a recent survey done by a social media platform, it was found that 61% of Indians were getting less than 6 hours of sleep, which has kind of risen from 2023, where it was 55%. And before that, it was in 2022, in 2020, it was 50%. So for sure, it's a major concern. Sleep is one of the biggest pillar of our health. Uh, Sleep is important for our overall well-being, our physical health, our cognitive health, and our emotional health. So today we are going to talk about what is insomnia. Is it a cause or is it a symptom? What are the myths around it, and what are the strategies which we can use to break anxiety insomnia cycle? And we have today with us Noreen Chaudhary, the clinical psychologist with NIA platform. But before we venture into our workshop today, talking about insomnia, I would like to introduce myself. I am Nidhi Lal, co-founder at NIA. NIA is a platform. Think of it as a virtual mental fitness platform where we provide you tools, knowledge, and skills to work on your emotional fitness and mental fitness. And then we also have experts which offer you one-on-one counseling sessions when you need their support. So it's like a preventative to assistive support system for you. So let's start with our session. Noreen, I would like to understand that, what we talked about, that 6 hours of sleep is required every day. Minimum 6 to 8 hours of sleep is required. When we call it sleep deprivation, or when it is becoming a chronic issue, or we call it as insomnia.
Okay. Thank you for having me, Nidhi, to talk about this very important issue. And it's definitely equally important to raise awareness regarding insomnia because people might not understand its seriousness. And as you mentioned, that India being the second most deprived nation in terms of sleep, just not the increase in sleep is the factor, but it can have an overall impact on a person's health and their quality of life. in attaining their complete potential, right? So, in terms of talking about sleep deprivation and insomnia, both are somewhere related, but sleep deprivation usually happens when there is lack of sleep due to the circumstances. Like you're unable to sleep because you're traveling, or you're unable to sleep because of some late night submissions or work that you have, right? But insomnia is a more chronic condition where a person is unable to sleep, or if they wake up, they are unable to go back to sleep. The sleep is interrupted with a lot of wakefulness, and they might experience excessive daytime sleepiness. Okay, so these are certain clinical characteristics, and according to the psychological disorders or the classification systems that we have, it is characterized as a clinical condition where a person is having 3 sleepless nights in a week. And definitely, it has a very significant impact on their daily functioning. In terms of the lifespan, as a normal aging process, a person's capacity to go into the REM sleep, which is a more restorative form of sleep, usually decreases. So it's more common in older adults, and also you can see it more commonly in women. So these are some characteristics and prevalence rate of insomnia. And sometimes we can see
Hmm.
that insomnia could also be a product of some kind of health related issue or mental health related issue. So sometimes
Hmm.
we can see that people who are struggling with depression, anxiety, post traumatic stress conditions have a symptom of insomnia, right? So it could be a comorbid condition with a lot of primary diagnosis.
Hmm.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, Noreen, we talked about, okay, there's a specific group, as we talked about, they could be more prone to insomnia. But then, all of us have at some point of time, experience insomnia. Let's say I was down with viral fever last week,
Mm,
and
mm,
because of the medication and because of this kind of, cough and all this, so I was really not
mm,
able to have enough sleep. But
mm.
obviously, we cannot call it as insomnia. So
Sure,
how do
sure.
we understand that should kind of, we need help or we need to take help? So how do you categorize that? Okay, if there are types of insomnia, so, if you
Sure,
can just share with people that what
sure.
kind of insomnia is okay, can be kind of dealt with easily, or are there some insomnias which need support from professionals?
Sure. So, like you just mentioned, your own experience when you were not physically fit, so because of which your sleep was interrupted, or maybe you were not feeling very restful or fresh when you woke up in the morning, right? So, that is not categorized as insomnia, but more probably as sleep deprivation because of your health issues. But yes, sometimes it can be for a longer period of time, and it can be called as transient insomnia, where there is uh, issues in your sleep, you're unable to sleep very restfully, you're unable to wake up fresh, or your entire quality of sleep is decreased due to a particular condition, due to anything, any circumstances, whether you're traveling, your health issues, or there is a change in your time zone, anything. Okay. So there could be like a short term span of sleep related issues. Then there is secondary insomnia, like I've mentioned in the beginning, and as you also mentioned, that it sometimes is a symptom, so which is a symptom to a primary condition. A primary condition could be mental health in nature or could be related to your physical health. So sometimes people with some kind of pains or some kind of chronic medical issues also have insomnia, or mental health issues like anxiety, depression, bipolar, PTSD. These are also sometimes the primary issues in which there could be secondary insomnia. Then there is chronic insomnia, where sometimes there is no idiopathic understanding, meaning we cannot really know the primary cause of the sleep deprivation or the sleep related issues that the person is facing. And when we are not able to understand what is the primary cause, we usually call it as an idiopathic insomnia or as a chronic insomnia. Maybe it started with some kind of situational reasons and then it is being maintained for a longer period of time. Now, for this chronic insomnia, there is a timeline which is very clearly listed out in DSM, and the current version is fifth, where a person has to be is unable to sleep or is unable to fall asleep or has a lot of interruptions, excessive daytime sleepiness for at least 3 times in a week. Okay, so then that is considered as a chronic symptom of insomnia, and it goes for at least 3 months. All right, so let's say in transient insomnia, once those situational factors are over, you might be able to come back to your normal sleep, right? So let's say for you, when you're feeling more physically fit, you might start sleeping better. Or if you've traveled to a different country and then you come back to a similar time zone, you might start feeling better. Okay. So, but in chronic insomnia, it doesn't happen. Even though you have the opportunity to sleep, your environment is something where you are able to sleep, but still you're not able to fall asleep. Then there is acute insomnia when it is again for short term, but it is because of any kind of life related stressors, right? Let's say there is a loss and you're in a grieving or a mourning period. There is sudden shift in your not, the time frame of your work. So because of that, it could happen, right? So usually we categorize it in these four uh, types of insomnia. But again, majorly speaking, it is more in terms of the primary and the secondary insomnia.
Okay. Yeah, so I understand that, Noreen, but for the clarity of our viewers, I would also like you to kind of look at it from this perspective that sleep can be a cause, sleeplessness or insomnia can be a cause of
Sorry,
something, or it can
Nidhi,
be a, no?
there's a little bit of disruption. I don't know,
Okay.
is it at my end?
Mm, okay. So let me repeat. So when we are talking
Yes,
about Noreen, so for better clarity for our viewers, I would like you to kind of look at, I mean, explain it in this way that, when we are talking about insomnia or this lack of sleep or sleeplessness, so one, we are talking about that it is a symptom of something, an
sure,
underlying condition, which could be a mental health condition or a chronic health condition we are talking about. Or sometimes it can be also caused for some conditions. So
sure.
I mean, how do we look at it, and can if we can kind of talk about that, where it is a cause or it's a symptom, and then when we are talking about that chronic
Hmm.
insomnia where we surely need help. So how do we understand the causes? What could be the causes of it, or is it a
So,
symptom just of something else?
yes, so in primary insomnia, when there is not a clear cause, now it could be something which is inherited, that could be a biological reason that usually you have been a bad or a poor sleeper, right? Or there has been some kind of changes in your sleep pattern, not very significant, but due to which you haven't been able to sleep. So that becomes your primary insomnia, where you are not able to relate to a specific cause. Then there is secondary insomnia. In secondary insomnia, it could be transient in nature, it could be acute in nature, or it could be secondary in nature, due to which maybe it could be a symptom of a primary condition, like a mental health condition. A lot of mental health conditions, you will see at least 64% of the mental health conditions, you will see sleep is one of the factors which is being impacted. So, uh, for our viewers to understand more clearly, sometimes the cause is very easily known to you. Maybe you came from a vacation, after that you're not able to sleep. Maybe you had a night shift at your work, after that you're not able to sleep. So that transient situation or the transient insomnia became very chronic in nature. All right. And sometimes you're just not able to sleep without any significant cause, which is known as more of an idiopathic insomnia. So in that, you might not really know what the cause is, and your sleep patterns are very erratic in nature. And then in the secondary, there is a primary cause. It could be mild mental health related issues, it could be medical issues, it could be changes in your time zone, it could be changes in your circadian rhythm. So anything. So these could be your reasons which might lead to secondary insomnia.
Right. Okay, so Nori, you just spoke about that you came back from your vacation and then you are not sleeping. So
Sure.
there are a lot of myths around sleep. So I would like you to
Yes.
kind of also kind of bust the myths that, are there around sleep. So let's say there's
Hmm.
one thing like, one can fully recover, from maybe, if you're not kind of having enough sleep or you're having poor sleep during the week.
Hmm.
So then just sleep on weekend and you can kind of, compensate for that or recover. Do you think it's
Sure.
right?
Well, that's a myth. You cannot catch
Mm,
up the missed sleep in terms of chronic insomnia. To some extent, of course, it can help you, but it does not really
mm,
reverse the cognitive or the physical impact it has. So, because of the chronic insomnia, there are issues in terms of your concentration, your focus, your physical health. Uh, so, all these impacts cannot be reversed. You might feel refreshed or energized for some time, but these impacts cannot be reversed. You need to have a proper sleep schedule for a longer period of time. It has to be more stable to work on it. It cannot be that you haven't slept for like 10 days and you'll just sleep 2 days the entire day and you'll cover it up. That's absolutely a myth.
okay. So maintaining your sleep cycles is important. Now, second
Absolutely.
thing is that, there's again this thing that, it can lead to weight gain. I mean, if you are sleep deprived, it can lead to weight gain.
Yes, absolutely. That's a fact. So,
Mm,
any kind of lack in sleep, which is for a longer period of time and it's having an impact on your functioning, can affect your hormones and that can regulate your hunger. So, you might have a lot of midnight cravings when you are unable to sleep. You might reach out to food for your emotional coping. You might reach out for food to relax you because when a person is having a lot of interrupted sleep, they feel very confused at what do I do? Either they start using their phone or they start, restlessly moving in and out in the house or they reach out to food. So there are chances that you might have an increase in your weight, leading to increased appetite because the food or the appetite also equally becomes erratic in nature. So the potential of having a weight gain is also highly linked if your patterns of sleep are very erratic or not if you're not having a proper scheduled time for sleep.
mhm. Okay, so just close to that, so drinking alcohol before bed helps you sleep better.
Again, it depends on the quantity of alcohol and for how long are you sleeping, for how long have you been consuming alcohol. So it might make you fall asleep initially, but the quality of your sleep. So for this, it'll be helpful for us to understand the different stages of sleep. So we have stage one, two, three, and the REM. I'm sure most of us are
Mm,
aware what is an REM, which is your rapid eye movement. Now your 3 and your REM stage is important to make you feel restored, to make you refreshed, to make you feel refreshed. So your 4 is important for your physical health, where there is a release in your growth hormones, and your REM is responsible for your mental health. So it helps you feel much more fresher and energetic and relaxed in the morning. So with the consumption of alcohol, there is a very significant impact on the stage 3 and REM. So you are not able to go into that deeper form of sleep. And with continued use of alcohol, where people usually rely or resort on alcohol to sleep, they might enter into the stage 1 and 2, but not go into the stage 3 or REM. So those stages are very shorter. So the quality of sleep is very disturbed. There is a lot of fragmented sleep. And a lot of researchers have shown that there is a sudden spike in their heart rate and their pulse rate if you are using alcohol. So definitely it's a myth. It might help some people to fall asleep, but the quality of sleep is greatly impacted.
right. So when we are talking about this, we for sure know that what I'm asking to you now, that, sleep deprivation can play havoc with your immune system. For sure, that's a fact, but I would like you to kind of talk about more on this one. Yeah.
Of course. So it has a great linkage between your immune system. People who have had disturbed sleep or erratic sleep patterns for months and years, you can see that they are high in terms of getting any kind of infections or illnesses, or even when you've had a very exhausting week where you haven't slept, the moment you are back home, you fall asleep, you fall sick. So, or you get an infection, you have a viral. So your immune system is very important in terms of how well are you sleeping, and you become more susceptible to medical health related conditions, infections, and other illnesses if your sleep patterns are erratic in nature.
Right. Okay, so in the world we are living today, phones are, we are inseparable from our phones. So this is
Sure.
important to talk about that using phones at bedtime, it's harmless, or it's kind of, again, if you're comfortable, it's harmless, you can use it. Do you think it's doing any good to your sleep? How do you look at it?
Sure. So I completely agree with the current day and age, the
Mm.
increased amount of screens, the increased amount of screen. It is not only just impacting our sleep, but also impacting a lot of different areas of our functioning, right? In terms of our concentration, focus, the quality of work. But sleep is something which is very significantly impacted. And absolutely, it's a myth that it helps you in sleeping better, even though you've been habituated to it. Your quality of sleep, which is a more important aspect in the quantity, right? So, when we are assessing a person's level of sleep or their pattern of sleep, we put a very high emphasis in understanding how well are they sleeping, how rested they
Mm.
feel when they wake up, and how fresh are they feeling when they wake up, right? When you wake up with a very cranky mood, or if you're waking up feeling tired, and your entire day you're being very lethargic or fatigued, these are the signs that you haven't had a restful sleep. Okay, so you might be in bed for 8 hours or 10 hours also, and you might have a very poor quality of sleep. So one of the reasons is exposing yourself to the blue light which is emitted by these screens, whether it is your laptop, televisions, mobiles, everything. So this interferes with your level of melatonin, which is one of the hormones that is responsible in terms of you to sleep. There is a decrease in melatonin production, and that's why a person is not able to sleep. And in adolescence, you will see that, especially in the younger adult population and the adolescents, the level of melatonin is already decreased in the night time, and when there is excessive phone usage, it further decreases. So it makes them all the more difficult, it makes it all the more difficult for them to have a healthy pattern of sleep, right? And of course, I understand a lot of people use phone as a coping mechanism to not know what to do when they are having a lot of interruptions in their sleep. So it is definitely a myth, and we should restrict our phone usage before sleep timing.
Right. Slowly, we are talking about what we are talking about here, and we are talking about sleep deprivation. We are talking about the importance of sleep, and we started with the duration, minimum 8 hours. So, but what we are kind of basically talking here is that it's not just the duration. And because when we are talking about this myths, what we basically are saying, okay, it's the duration which matters. And if you're not able to do it every day, maybe at the weekend, or, if you can use some, take help from some things, some substances, or, we talked about
Sure,
food, and that can help. But then
sure,
it's not just the duration which we are talking about. It's also about, the quality of sleep. And when you're
sure,
using these things, maybe for some time you feel better. Some phases you can reach that, but then your deep sleep is hampered. So it's important to
sure,
look at the quality of sleep also. So
sure.
now, can you help us and help our viewers understand that, I mean, again, at different levels, the impact of this insomnia in detail
Mm.
for better understanding. Yeah.
Different levels of impact. Okay. So
Yeah.
before we speak about the impact, maybe let me help you categorize in terms of how it is caused due to different areas or in different ways of our lifestyle, and then we can also equally talk about the impact on those areas, right? So, like I mentioned initially, sometimes there is a causal factor of mental health, which leads to issues of insomnia. So, any kind of mental health related issue like anxiety, depression can lead to symptoms of insomnia, right? So, similarly, the impact of sleep deprivation can make it much more worse for your mental health. So, a person might who have a primary diagnosis of any kind of mental health condition, if they are unable to manage their sleep related issues, it makes it all the more difficult or their mental health related symptoms worse. So there might be an impact in terms of their focus, their concentration, their anxiety levels, their mood levels. So there is an impact on that. Then, as we also discussed in terms of their lifestyle, so lifestyle is something which gets deeply impacted due to insomnia. But because if it is a sustained pattern of sleep related issues, you can see that there are difficulties in maintaining their work routine. There are difficulties in maintaining their, daily chores. There are difficulties in maintaining how they feel on a day-to-day basis. So there is an impact on their lifestyle. Then, of course, there is a severe impact due to the technological disruptions if they are excessively using technology, and that is one of the causal factors that could sometimes lead to issues in terms of their memory, their concentration, decreased level of attention span, or high distractibility, right? So these are some impact of insomnia. Then it is also very important to understand the significant issues, how it can impact your physical health, right? So let's say there could be a primary issue of physical health which might lead to insomnia related conditions, but sometimes it can be a result of insomnia also. So people struggling with erratic sleep patterns can have uh, high susceptibility of cardiovascular condition, respiratory condition, autoimmune diseases, or sometimes lifestyle related conditions like thyroid, high cholesterol, diabetes. So these are some conditions that can be greatly impacted or can be a result of chronic insomnia. And of course, in general, like we just discussed, in terms of if your attention or your focus is not up to the mark, it will have an impact on your productivity. It can have an impact on your mood, and which in turn can have an impact on your relationships also. You might be very irritable, um, you might not have clarity of thoughts, you might not be able to put out your best in terms of the performances. So the impact is very global in nature. So, from your biology, physiology, to your psychology, to your emotions, to your ability to concentrate, to your social factors, your relationship, or how you maintain your relationships, is something which can be impacted if you are unable to manage your sleep related issues.
Right. So, Noreen, we have been talking about the symptoms, how it can impact, what all can go wrong if you're
Sure.
sleep deprived. Now, so it's important to understand that how do we break this vicious cycle, of
Sure.
sleeplessness? What should we
Sure.
do so that we can kind of, have good sleep? So, let's talk about that.
Okay, so let everyone listening to us understand what is this vicious cycle. Firstly, when a person gets into it. So let's say if I am unable to sleep for a week or for few months, right? Immediately that is going to have an impact on my day, how I feel in a day, or how my mood is in a day, right? I might not be able to cope up with my daily life challenges, with the work that I'm doing, with the deadlines that I have to keep up, and I will automatically start relating all these issues to the sleep deprivation that I have had. Because I haven't slept well, all this is happening. I'm not able to concentrate, I'm not energetic, I've been struggling with sleep for so long, and this is something which is not being managed, right? Now automatically you start becoming very anxious around your sleep time. So the moment your sleep time comes, you have these negative thoughts which are coming in. Again, I'm not going to be I won't be able to sleep. Again, it's going to be a restless night. And again, the entire pattern is going to repeat. I will never get out of it. So there is an automatic increase in these negative thoughts, right? Which makes you, focus more on how are you sleeping. It's 1 o'clock. I still haven't slept. It's 2 o'clock. I still haven't slept, right? So it makes you feel more anxious. It makes you feel more stressed about your sleep, and you get stuck in this vicious cycle. So it could be the start of your erratic sleep patterns could have been anything. It could have been, like we discussed, due to some physical health related issue. It could have been due to changes in your lifestyle. It could have been age related changes also, right? But it is maintained due to this vicious cycle. It is maintained because you keep thinking that you will not be able to sleep, you might not be able to have a restful sleep, and again it's going to impact my day. Okay, so this is usually known as the psychophysiological issues which are caused by sleep, or the cycle which is maintained by sleep. Now, in order to break from this particular aspect of the vicious cycle, it's very important for the person to understand that, yes, of course, the awareness is required that they are unable to sleep and they are having these negative thoughts. But in spite of that, they have to stay active in the day, however, whatever that potential is in terms of staying active. So that is number one. Second is that accepting bad nights, that it's okay if I'm unable to sleep today. It's okay if I'm unable to sleep for past few days. But and occasionally poor sleep is something which is normal, because I have had a stressful week, or I have traveled, or I'm in a different time zone, or I'm struggling with this particular health condition, and it's normal. So normalizing these bad nights. What people usually feel is they're very triggered, or they become very anxious by these bad nights, that I'm having a poor night, I haven't slept well, it's going to impact my day, I won't be able to perform well, right? So and also focusing more in terms of what are the things that you were able to do. And due to this aspect, sometimes people start sleeping a lot in the day. They feel that because I could not sleep in the night, let me just cover up my sleep in the daytime, or let me just have a restful sleep or a nap before an important work, which further worsens their cycle, which further worsens their sleep and wakeful cycle, right? So understanding and normalizing these bad nights, looking at these negative thoughts and understanding that even they are temporary and momentary in nature, journaling these thoughts in terms of noticing that, yes, I'm having a bad thought, I'm having a negative thought about my sleep, and I'm worrying about my sleep. But if I keep looking at the clock, if I keep looking at the time that I haven't slept, it'll just make it worse, right? So knowing that how it could be a spiral, and a downward spiral if I feel triggered about my bad sleep. So these are some uh, actions that a person can do in terms of breaking away from the vicious cycle.
Okay. Can we also kind of talk about that, how they can monitor this? Something like, how they can take maybe some audit, some tools they can
Sure,
use, and
sure.
then, that can help them monitor. So if you can talk about that also.
Yes. So, see, any kind of management, whether it's weight management or sleep management or your mood management, it requires monitoring. Okay. It requires for us to understand what my current pattern is. Now, this particular audit that you have in front of you, this could be handy to anyone to understand their existing sleep pattern. Sometimes people are even unaware that they might not be sleeping well. They might not even know that, okay, there is an issue related to sleep. So start putting down your sleep pattern in this particular template, where you every day try to understand what is your bedtime, what time are you waking up, what are the total number of hours that you've had, and what is your quality of sleep, where one being poor, five being very good. And if you have had any interruptions in the night, and what were these interruptions for? Did you want to use the washroom? Did you just suddenly wake up? Did you have a bad dream? So you could put down those reasons also if you remember. Okay, how many interruptions were there? Then, in terms of your daily activity, because as we spoke about the vicious cycle, they start associating bad sleep to disruption in the day a lot, right? But sometimes, of course, that could be a pattern, but at times it is not as significant. They feel that I could not do anything in the entire day. My entire day was ruined because I did not have a good night's sleep. But at times you are able to function, maybe you did attend the meeting, you did submit a particular project, and how it is, right? So it's important to understand what these daily activities are, whether there was any physical activity, what's your caffeine intake, alcohol intake, your stress levels, again 0 being very low and 1 being very low and 5 being very high, and any relaxation strategies. So your daily activities will help you understand that what could be the reasons and changes in your sleep routine. And this monitoring, if you've done it for a week and you understand, okay, there is some disruption in my sleep pattern, it'll give you a better and a mindful way of acknowledging it, right? And you might understand sometimes you are just lazy, or sometimes you are just lethargic, or you might not be in the right mood. And you keep questioning what could be the reason. But if you're observing your sleep and your daily activities closely, you might be able to understand it. And these are some reflective questions that you can take with this monitoring. Maybe set a time in the day, maybe in the morning or in the night, to record about the previous log for your sleep. And this is how you could address these questionings, that how is it that you feel when you wake up. So for this you could use a feelings chart, or maybe if you want to have a list of words to understand how you feel, you could use that. And was there any stress or anxiety that you were feeling when you went to bed, that I might not be able to sleep, or any other negative thoughts? Or sometimes people just indulge in a lot of overthinking. Then what were your thoughts as you were trying to fall asleep, right? Sometimes we think about the next day, sometimes we think about future. What are these constant thoughts that are keeping you awake? Any relaxation techniques that people have used in terms of helping them to sleep better? Some might indulge in reading a book, listening to a podcast, some kind of meditation, deep breathing. So these could be some techniques that you can make a note of. And what factors influenced your good sleep? Some days you might just feel, oh, I just slept so well and I feel so refreshed. So when you have this monitor, or when you are monitoring your sleep patterns, you can repeat these factors, because maybe I had a lighter meal, that's why I slept better. Maybe I indulged in a physical exercise, that's why I slept better. So when you are aware of these factors, you can repeat it so that you have a better quality of sleep each time. So this is very important. And people, irrespective of sleep difficulties or not, I think this should be something that they should implement in their lifestyle.
Right. So Noreen, also, I would like you to kind of, talk about, and we are talking about sleep, and, what are the, like, they can keep a sleep diary where they can see the pattern, that what helps them, what are the triggers for them, and how can they break that cycle. Now, I also want you to talk about basic, I mean, some sleep hygiene kind of, practices which we can include in our routine
Sure.
for ensuring better sleep.
Sure, sure. So, for us to not fall prey to insomnia, whether due to, any secondary issues or transient issues, or sometimes idiopathic conditions, it's very important to follow a good sleep hygiene. Now, these are some factors, or these are some do's and don'ts that you should be doing in terms of having a better sleep-wake cycle. Now, firstly, I will talk about the don'ts, maybe, and then I will talk about the do's. Okay. So, don'ts are firstly not having a very large meal, or a meal that is full of very high in carbohydrates, fats, or sugar, or salt, not having a very large meal before your bedtime. Okay. At least like 2 to 3 hours prior. Then, when you are going to bed, as we discussed, that how screens or technology can disrupt your sleep patterns, can disrupt your melatonin levels, trying to disengage from any kind of devices at least 1 to 1.5 hour prior to your sleep. Okay. And you should not bring your devices into the bedroom, or should not bring your devices into the area where you are going to be sleeping or relaxing. Then I understand a lot of people have a pattern of daytime napping. And again, this advice has to be followed based on their any primary health related condition. But any kind of daytime napping is not healthy. So if you are napping for really longer hours, like 1 hour, 2 hour, it can automatically have an impact on your sleep cycle. So try to avoid any daytime napping if you're already facing any issues in your sleep schedule. So I understand a lot of clients whom I see who are facing sleep related issues. They say that, but we feel so tired in the day that we are unable to concentrate, or we are unable to do anything. It's important that you are, maintaining and trying to be resilient during those tired hours. Because if you start falling asleep, or you start covering up your sleep in the daytime, it'll automatically disrupt your pattern, right? So I know it's going to be challenging for a few days, but you will have to keep up with that tiredness or that fatigue that you're facing. Okay. Maybe there could be any other activities that could help you relax. Then, avoiding any kind of caffeine or alcohol before bedtime. um, of course, again, based on your medical condition or your health, sometimes green tea or any detox teas or milk could be better in terms of consuming if you have a habit to drink something before bedtime. Then, having a clear area where you are not conditioning your relaxing environment with any activities that require being alert. So let's say in your bedroom, you should not be working, you should not be eating, or you should not be engaging in any movie watching or anything. I understand we all have TVs in the bedroom, and we'll just put it on and try to fall asleep until we get sleep, right? But that's a very unhealthy pattern, and it doesn't make you sleep. Again, your quality of sleep is disrupted. So try to have a different area where you can engage in any kind of being alert related activities, and trying to just keep separate areas for relaxing and any other activities. And it's very important to have a sleep time ritual. Like, maybe some people would want to control their temperatures, would want to, have some slight scent in the bedroom, maybe change their dresses, take a light shower. So some routine is very important. A ritual is very important before we go to bed. Now, why that is important is because it primes your brain that, okay, now I'm ready to go to sleep, right? Immediately just falling in bed and just, not having a routine, you have to prime your brain. Like, every morning we wake up, take a bath, have a cup of tea, coffee, breakfast, get dressed, and go for work, right? So that routine is somewhere which is priming you, getting you prepared that now I have to be at work, I have to be prepared, right? So that's the same mechanism that needs to be applied for the night time. Then, in terms of a stimulus control model, which I know is a more intensive program, where we try to, um, understand that what are these aspects in your bedroom or in your environment where you are sleeping, which is making you feel alert or making you feel anxious, and trying to create that dissociation. All right. A little bit of exercise is good in the daytime. Of course, not very intensive exercise or strength training or cardio just before your bedtime routine. Ideally, 3 to 4 hours prior to your bedtime routine. And most importantly, no clock watching, and maintaining a correct schedule. So if a person is constantly watching the clock that I'm not able to sleep, it's going to reinforce the vicious cycle which we just spoke about. So if you're unable to sleep, it's fine. Just be on the bed for 20 minutes. If you're still not able to sleep, I know 20 minutes, how will you check the time? But just have an idea that it might be 15 minutes or 20 minutes, I haven't slept. Maybe get up from the bed, go to a couch, read a book, listen to some soothing music, anything, and then you can go back to your bed when you start feeling asleep. But don't lay awake in your bed and waiting that, okay, when will I sleep? When will I sleep? Okay. And having a strict schedule, irrespective of however you have slept. So let's say if you're going to bed around 11 or 12 or 10, whatever, and waking up at 6 or 5 or 4, whatever time, keeping this pattern consistent throughout the day, irrespective, however, whatever your activity level or whatever changes have happened. Okay, so maintaining a schedule will keep your circadian rhythm in place and will not lead to erratic patterns of sleep. All right, so these are some basic guidelines for maintaining a good sleep hygiene.
Right. So, Noreen, we have discussed in detail the reasons, the symptoms, and then what could be the strategies. We also talked about how we can kind of, build the sleep hygiene practices and then, associate some behaviors which our brain starts kind of, recognizing that this is associated with your sleep time. So, kind of help you build all those behaviors. But the last question is, okay, even after doing this, when is the time to kind of, talk to a professional? Because at NIA we offer sleep coaching programs. We also, through our mental fitness boot camps, we help people to build this positive healthy sleeping habits, and we also offer one-on-one counseling sessions where it is like more intensive kind of support, which you just talked about, sleep intensive program. So what
So,
should be the one thing for someone to understand, like, okay, I am trying all these things, whatever, I mean, we talked about, but still
mm,
my lack of sleep or this insomnia is impacting me. So how
mm.
do kind of say, understand that no, it's time to go to a professional?
Sure, sure. So, let's say a person firstly feels that sleep-related issues are having an impact on their daily functioning. Whether it's relationship, their work, their mood, or the level of energy or fatigability, that these levels are being impacted, irrespective of trying to maintain a good sleep hygiene, but still you're unable to do. That's a sign that you have to reach out to a professional. Now, in these intensive programs or insomnia related programs at NIA, what we primarily speak about is, of course, the good sleep hygiene, but we also focus at the thoughts or the worries or the overthinking patterns or the underlying mental health condition that a person might have, where insomnia could be a symptom of it. So we look at it at a much more deeper level to understand why insomnia is happening or what could be these maintaining factors of insomnia. And through some evidence-based practices like CBT, which is your cognitive behavior therapy, stimulus control mechanisms, and sleep restrictions, where we try to build on the sleep efficiency of the person and the sleep quality. Now, sleep efficiency again is your the time that you are sleeping and the time that you spend on bed. So the sleep efficiency is something that has to be around 85%, which we try to work through these intensive programs. And again, the monitoring mechanism is important. So, but for you to just become aware is understanding if if sleep is causing issues in your daytime, in your day-to-day activities, maybe that could be a reason. And also sometimes it's not really important to wait for the impact to show up. Maybe it could be just for you to understand that, are you sleeping well? Maybe you're sleeping well, but your quality of sleep is disrupted. You're not feeling that you are waking up very fresh, and you might want to work on it. So that could be a good enough reason to. I know there is a perception that until a condition is bad enough, we don't reach out to the professional, whether it's a physical health or a mental health. We try to manage it by our own home remedies, right? Maybe popping sometimes paracetamol or some medications. But sometimes, as a lifestyle management or trying to work on things, how it can get better, you could always reach out and work around these programs.
Right. Okay, Jayashree, so before we wrap up, I would like to take some minutes if we have any questions for viewers and we can answer them. You can let us know if there are any questions, any specific questions there. I think you are on mute, so you can
Yeah,
unmute.
let me quickly check. And while I check, let me ask one question.
Sure.
Other than the, I think either Nidhi or Noreen can take it. Other than the one-on-one session when I have a problem about sleeping, um, and you also talked about the detailed program where you can measure the sleep efficiency. Are there any other ways where I can work on my sleep patterns?
Sure, Jeshi. So maybe I can answer that question. So it's, I mean, different levels. So one thing is that we work on it proactively. Not necessarily you have to have some problem which is kind of started impacting you, as Noreen said. But being proactive is always good. So we can work on building those positive, sleep habits, wherein we kind of, build our sleep rituals, and then, we monitor that we are sleeping enough. So we can work on all this healthy habits in our mental fitness bootcamp, where sleep is one of the area where we work on. Apart from that, we also work on a sleep coaching program, wherein more specific issues which you are facing, like we talked about thoughts, what are the thoughts which are stopping you, so kind of work on that, and then specific strategies which will work for you. Not everything works for everyone, so we look at that. And when it is kind of associated with maybe some underlying condition which we talked about, like mental health condition, it could be, so then it could be more into counseling kind of thing, wherein it could be counseling sessions, and then we can work on both, all the issues together. I hope I answered your question, Jayashree.
Sure. And I think how can people reach out to Nia?
So there are multiple ways you can reach out to us through our website, which is www.nia.app. You can reach out to us directly through LinkedIn. You can reach out to us through our Instagram page. You can reach out to us through our YouTube channel. Also, there are multiple ways, or you can write to us at hello@nia.app, our email.
Okay. All right. I think that's all the questions which are there. So, yeah,
So
over to you.
shall we close the session?
Yeah, I think it was, I mean, I learned a lot. So it was a great session because I am one of those 61% you talked about who doesn't get uninterrupted sleep of 6 hours. So I've taken a few notes, so hopefully I will maintain that journal which Noreen was mentioning and see how I can work better on my sleep pattern. So, and I hope audience who are watching also would have taken some key takeaways. And thank you, Nidhi, and thank you, Noreen, for a great
Yes.
session. And viewers, we will come back next Saturday with much more interesting topic which will help you in your lifestyle. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.